The whole year and a half in Chicago, I was a normal person. I didn't look religious. I barely behaved religious. I used to do, tefillin and stuff like that. But I was a regular person. Of course, I didn't have all the long hair and all that stuff. I cut off all the wild things. But I had a business. I lived my life. I worked. I just started becoming religious. Later, when I came to New York, that was already 2 years later. Then later, when I was already in yeshiva, then my whole life already changed. I wasn't even working at that time. Later on, after that, I started working. But in the first year and a half when I was in Chicago, business was as usual. I just was a different person. I right away at least stopped the big things, lying, cheating. I was in business. I was very, very not straight. So first I stopped all the big things, and I started eating kosher, doing kiddush on Shabbat. So I started changing my path, but it was very hard because in my mind was almost impossible to do it, because I didn't want to become religious. So in the first year and a half to 2 years, I was normal like all other person. I would put tefillin in the morning. When I put tefillin, I would put the yarmulke on, I would put the talit, finish with the tefillin, 5 minutes, take it off. I looked like a normal person, because it was the time that I had to start changing myself. So I had a business, I had money, I had everything.
And during this process of what were your parents?
Nobody knew. For 2 years, nobody knew that I'm becoming religious.
Okay, but did they know where you were?
Yeah.
So what do you think they were doing?
They thought that I'm doing everything that I was doing before that. Everything was normal.
So, and then when they found out you were religious?
Then they freaked out, and then they relaxed. I didn't tell that to them only after a couple of years later. Yeah. The first 2 years, you got to understand that I was undercover. Nobody knew anything. Nobody knew I'm religious. I would put tefillin on, then put a long shirt on that nobody would see the stripes on my hand. If I would have to do something, I would go to the room. Nobody knew I'm religious. Only my grandfather once came to visit me, and he saw the cup for the netilat yadayim, and he looked at it and he's like, "Ta chozer b'tshuva? You're becoming religious?" I'm like, "No, pito, me." So he's like, "Yes, you are. I see the cup." Yeah. So my sister once came and visited me, and she was like, "Why is there so many mezuzot? You are ishtagata? You lost your mind?" I'm like, "No, good luck." So I would, in the beginning, I didn't tell anybody, because I was embarrassed. I was like, okay, if I'm going to tell now everybody that I'm becoming religious, they're going to, they're going to tell me you lost your mind, you're being brainwashed by these crazy people. So the first 2 years, business was as usual. I looked the same, everything was fine. I wasn't disconnected from the world. My parents came to visit me, sisters, friends, everything was normal. Nobody knew what happened to me. Nobody knew that I'm becoming religious. When they asked me why I cut my hair, I don't need the long hair anymore. They asked me why you took the piercings out, I don't like that anymore. I would give excuses. I would go with my mom to a restaurant, and she would tell me, "Why aren't you ordering shrimps?" I have a stomach ache. So I totally hid it. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. For 2 years, nobody knew anything, because I was embarrassed that what they're going to say, what they're going to think. But I was a normal person. I had a good business, a big business. I used to make a lot of money. I was in a, like a normal person.
And your family, where do they live now? Like your parents?
My parents, all my family live in Israel.
They're religious?
My parents.
They're religious?
My sisters are still working on it.
Your parents?
And my parents, Baruch Hashem. After about 2 years, I told them that I became religious. So of course, in the beginning was this, big issue. Wow, you lost your mind. Everybody freaked out. But then they learned to see that I'm exact same person, just with a long beard. So, because the reality is that that's what really happens. When a person becomes religious, he's the same person. I have the same sense of humor, same jokes, everything's the same. I'm just a little bit more serious. And, the look is a little bit different. And that's it. So once my family and friends and parents saw that I'm exact same person, but actually better, more refined, they were like, "Oh, I actually like the new one." My father was the first one that was happy, because I was a real troublemaker. So he said, when I told him I became religious, he's like, "If that's going to make a mensch out of you, then I'm fine with that." You can't even imagine how many times he had to come and bail me out. So my father was very happy I was not I was a wild kid. So I gave my parents a lot of headaches. Said my father saw me that I'm like mesudar, like together with myself. He's like, oh, now finally maybe this is going to make a normal person out of you. So my father was happy. My mom slowly got to see also that I'm good. But the thing is, when you become religious, most people think that you change or you lose yourself. That's what's holding a lot of people from becoming religious, because they're like, I'm going to be different. No, you stay exactly the same. How?
You're a different person. How do you say
No, I'm exactly the same. I just more refined. So instead of lying all the time, I don't lie anymore. And instead of cursing, I speak nice. So I have a long beard. So what? And I wear the same clothes every day. So you could say maybe 2% changed, but you're exactly the same person. And when people think that they're going to change, it's not true. The thing is, some people, they do segregate themselves to a point that they're like, they don't want to have anything to do with their past, and it's not healthy, because at some point it's the pressure's too much, they burst. So you see in a lot of Baalei Teshuva, they were musicians, they stay musicians. They were an artist, so they did a certain sport, they stay. So somebody who grew up religious, unfortunately in our last few generations, the real religious people, so they don't send their kids to do any sports, they don't teach them anything, so they grow like in this box. But it's not the right way, because it's not a healthy way to raise a child. But I know so many Baalei Teshuva that they stuck with what they are. They did this type of sport, they're still doing it. They play this instrument, they're doing it. You don't change, you just refine yourself. Of course, very little things you change, because if you did certain bad things and you can't do them anymore, then you don't do it anymore. But the main change is that you just become much better. Yes?
What happened with the girl in the cab?
I don't know. I left her and that's it. I once went to speak in a university here in Stony Brook. So one of the girls asked me the same thing. What happened to the girl? So the rabbi answered her, Chassids don't stay in touch with their ex-girlfriends. So once I left from Chicago, I was like, bye-bye, and that's it. Because I grew up in Israel extremely secular. And how I grew up and what I was taught is that there's no God, that it's all fake, there's no such a thing, there's no soul in the body, there's no afterlife, you live your life, you enjoy your life, you live in this world. I was 28 years educated that it's all not true. And everywhere that I went to, I don't know how it is exactly in America, in Israel, you're either religious or you're not religious. And the ones who are not religious, they're very not religious. And in school, they taught me that it's all story. They taught me about the story that are in the Tanakh, but the teacher said, that's a story. It's not real. Noach with the ark, it's a story. And Yetziat Mitzrayim, Egypt, that's a story. So I grew up, it was so instilled in my mind, you can even say I was brainwashed that this whole thing is not true. So when somebody would come and tell me, come and put tefillin on because it's a mitzvah, that's not a mitzvah, it's no such a thing. Why are you putting a piece of leather on my hand? I don't need this. So I was so far removed, so anti, that I didn't even see any benefit in it. If you grow with some type of tradition, then you have some type of understanding or some type of willing to be close. But I grew up completely disconnected. So when somebody would come and tell me, come and do a mitzvah, I didn't see even a point. It for me was like this crazy act. So when he came to put tefillin on me, I was like, I don't want to do it. It's a waste of time. I did. But for me, bar mitzvah was an investment. Because in Israel, when you do bar mitzvah, you get a big party. And in the party, all the family, they bring you checks or envelopes with cash. So for me, bar mitzvah was an investment. I didn't care about I was like, okay, I'll put the tefillin on. Who cares about this piece of leather? I care about the checks, what I'm going to get from the party. So for me, bar mitzvah didn't have anything religious in it. For me, it was a party. I get a lot of presents. And okay, I'll do the tefillin thing because my grandfather wants me to do this weird thing. I'll do that. But it didn't have any meaning. For me, I just wanted to know how much money I'm getting from the event. And the thing is that living in Eretz Israel, you can't not see religion. You see it all around you. But since I was a little kid, it was placed in my mind that it's not true, that there's no such a thing. So I was anti. That's why you see a lot of people now, you come and tell them about God, they're like, there's no such a thing. You're crazy. That's how I was. And if you're not like that, you're lucky, because a lot of other people are. They're so disconnected, they so don't believe in anything, that anything that you come and tell them, they don't accept it. That's the problem. Yeah.